Welcome everyone, I'm Spiro for Newsbud.com. Newsbud is a 100% independent news organization funded by you, the people, through your subscriptions and donations. Newsbud was founded by former FBI whistleblower and best-selling author Sibel Edmonds. Newsbud offers our subscribing members exclusive content every week for a very low price. Newsbud has been keeping a close eye on the military-industrial complex. As the old saying goes, follow the money. Every month, Newsbud publishes a one-of-a-kind report by one of our U.S. military veterans and analysts, Christian Sorensen, that details the spending of the main branch of the military-industrial complex, the Department of Defense, for the previous month. This report is the largest one of the year as it covers the end of the fiscal year for the government. Last month alone, the Department of Defense spent $45.5 billion on 681 individual contracts. This is more than $1.5 billion a day of your tax dollars funding the war machine. This amount does not include the 52 foreign military sales transactions worth another $4.8 billion. This exclusive report includes the names of the companies involved, what the contracts are for, where the weapons are going, and what countries are receiving them. This is a must-read for everyone, and you can see the entire report open to all right now exclusively at newsbud.com. This week on Newsbud's Geopolitical Report with Kurt Nimmo, Nimmo exposes how the U.S. and Britain are gearing up for war with North Korea, and how the war propaganda by the media has significantly increased in order to rally the people's support for starting another war, which would undoubtedly kill many innocent civilians. Now, the media and even the school systems conveniently distort history, not reporting or teaching the public or our children the horrors and harsh realities of war and war crimes committed by the United States government throughout history. In this must-see episode, Nimmo delivers the true history of the war crimes and the war criminals within the United States government, while pointing out how these criminals, who have blood on their hands of millions of people, are celebrated and given awards. Nowhere in the media are we hearing how the U.S. completely destroyed North Korea during World War II, when the U.S. dropped more bombs there than anywhere else combined.
It came out a few years ago that killing unarmed civilians in Korea was official U.S. policy. In September 1950, for instance, U.S. warships shelled Korean refugees and killed around 200 civilians. Near the village of Nogan-ri, refugees were slaughtered in the dozens by U.S. aircraft.
Now, the world has witnessed what the United States and their allies do to countries that give up their weapons. They get destroyed. And what does Trump's cryptic message to the media mean?
During an interview with military leaders and their wives on October 5th, Trump taunted the media about killing millions of Koreans and possibly starting World War III.
You guys know what this represents? Maybe the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We have the world's great military people in this room. I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Find out in the full episode, which is available now for Newsbud community members. If you're not yet a member, you can preview, watch, and share all of Newsbud's latest videos on Vimeo on demand. Now, speaking of celebrated war criminals, a Newsbud exclusive article by Kurt Nimmo documents how Trump's drain the swamp rhetoric was nothing more than a disingenuous advertising campaign. As one of Trump's advisors, a man he calls a longtime friend who is, quote, a man of immense talent, experience, and knowledge, end quote, Henry Kissinger, who has been advising Trump on foreign policy, specifically North Korea. As Nimmo points out, it is entirely possible Trump only vaguely understands Kissinger conspired to commit murder and was the driving force behind the act defined as war crimes, most notoriously murdering millions of people in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. Regardless, Trump has placed numerous colleagues of Kissinger, who are members of the Council on Foreign Relations, throughout his administration. Be sure to check out the full article available now for Newsbud community members. Another Newsbud exclusive article written this week by Christian Sorensen debunks the U.S.-Israel narrative that Hezbollah was responsible for the terrorism deaths of more U.S. citizens than any other foreign terrorist organization prior to 9/11. This Newsbud article is open to all, and it exposes how the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad and their U.S. counterpart, the CIA, are launching a renewed effort to go after Hezbollah, demonizing and declaring them a terrorist organization, which is focused on countering Zionist aggression. As the Newsbud article points out, the U.S. Congress is content going along for the ride against Hezbollah because they are scared of AIPAC and the Zionist lobby. Now don't forget, it's not Congress's sons and daughters who will be doing the fighting in these wars. It will be the U.S. working class and those who have swallowed the war machine's propaganda pills. Now this week on Newsbud's Battlefield America with top constitutional attorney John W. Whitehead, Whitehead covers the Las Vegas shooting and asks some very important questions about the U.S. mass shootings in general. What's causing them? Whitehead also addresses the culture of violence being promoted by the TV industry, Hollywood, and the video game industry, being financed and pushed by the military-industrial complex, specifically the Pentagon and the CIA, to promote war and increase recruitment for the military-industrial complex. Whitehead also takes on the media and the politicians calling for stricter gun control and addresses other major questions while providing solutions.
Then again, could it be, as some have speculated, that these shootings are all part of an elaborate plan to incite fear and chaos, heighten national tensions, and shift us that much closer to a complete lockdown? After all, the military and our militarized police forces have been predicting and preparing for exactly this kind of scenario for years now. So who's to blame for the violence?
All this and more as Whitehead also provides solutions. The full video is available now for Newsbud community members, or you can watch it now on Vimeo on demand. Now in this week's edition of Newsbud's Russian Newspaper Monitor, Professor Philip Kovacevic covers a little talked about aspect of the Syrian war. How the Russian military-industrial complex is the major beneficiary of the war. The Syrian war has allowed the Russian military to showcase their weapons of death to the world, leading to billions of dollars worth of weapons deals with countries like Turkey, China, and the latest country to get in on the action, whose leader just met with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Saudi Arabia. Now, Kovacevic also covers the latest propaganda war taking place between the United States and Russia, as both countries are threatening to force each other's propaganda arm of the media out of the countries, or at least make them register as foreign agents, such as RT, Sputnik, CNN, Washington Post, and the New York Times. In this jam-packed episode, Professor Kovacevic also covers the Russian bomb threat hoax that heavily damaged the Russian economy, as almost 500,000 people in about 100 cities across Russia were evacuated due to dozens of bomb threats, straining the emergency services. Find out why Professor Kovacevic suspects these well-coordinated threats were influenced by Western intelligence agencies to destabilize Russia, of course with the ultimate goal of regime change. Now, was this a dry run for future coordinated attacks? Find out all this and more from Newsbud's geopolitical expert on Russia and the Balkans at newsbud.com for subscribers, or you can see it now on Vimeo on demand. Now, Newsbud's China Watch is a great weekly show hosted by Newsbud's Asia geopolitical expert, Peter Lee. Now, this week, Peter Lee covers how the U.S. and its Five Eyes intelligence anti-China allies are bringing the fight against China home to the U.S., plus all the latest developments on the geopolitical chessboard and much more. This episode and all of Newsbud's episodes can be seen right now by Newsbud subscribing members. If you're not a member, watch it now on Newsbud Vimeo on demand. Now this week, Newsbud had a breaking news video with Newsbud's founder and editor Sibel Edmonds and myself covering the horrific assassination of the Maltese journalist Daphne Galizia when she was killed by a car bomb. Now, the journalist was known for covering government corruption, and pretty much every site that I've seen cover this story has been reporting this murder was potentially politically driven, and how many people are pointing the finger at Malta's prime minister. Well, our story has been seen more than 50,000 times on Facebook and 60,000 times on YouTube. And we show that there is much more to this story, as this journalist was getting too close to something much bigger than the Panama Papers, Operation Gladio B. Now be sure to stay tuned, as Newsbud will soon have a more in-depth follow-up report on this story. Newsbud also offers our own aggregated news, and we call it Sibel's Picks. It's the best source for aggregated news online, and our community members love it. Newsbud's founder, Sibel Edmonds, handpicks each story herself, and you get about 90 links a week. So you get the aggregated news, all of the videos, the articles, the interviews, the roundtables, investigative reports, and much more every week, exclusively available for Newsbud activist community members. So be sure to sign up today. And once you sign up, your price is locked in and will never increase. Newsbud is 100% independent, 100% people funded. We rely on your support to keep this operation running. We want to deliver the best to our activist community members, but we need your support to do so. For all of us here at Newsbud, thank you for your support and stay tuned for next week's lineup.